smart people really underrate espionage, right? And, I think part of the security issue is I think people don't realize like how intense state level espionage can be, right? Like, this Israeli company had software that could just 0-click hack any iPhone, right? They just put in your number and then it's just like straight download of everything, right? Like the United States infiltrated an air-gapped atomic weapons program, right? Wild, like.
Are you talking about Stuxnet?
Yeah. The intelligence agencies have just stockpiles of 0 days, when things get really hot, I don't know, maybe we'll send special forces, right? To like, go to the data center or something that's, China does this, they threaten people's families, right? And they're like, look, if you don't cooperate, if you don't give us the intel, there's a good book, along the lines of the Gulag Archipelago, the Inside the Aquarium, which is by a Soviet GRU defector. GRU was like military intelligence. Ilya recommended this book to me. I think reading that, I was just kind of like shocked at how intense sort of state level espionage is. The whole book was about like, they go to these European countries and they try to like get all the technology and recruit all these people to get the technology. But maybe one anecdote, so the spy, this eventual defector, so he's being trained, he goes to the kind of GRU spy academy. And so then to graduate from the spy academy, sort of before you're sent abroad, you kind of had to pass a test to show that you can do this. And the test was, you had to, in Moscow, recruit a Soviet scientist and recruit them to give you information, sort of like you would do in the foreign country. But of course, for whomever you recruited, the penalty for giving away sort of secret information was death. And so to graduate from the Soviet spy, this GRU spy academy, you had to condemn a countryman to death.
Mm-hmm.
The states do this stuff. You've got to have Russia-proof security. Right? It's like you can't just have Russia steal all your stuff. And like maybe their clusters aren't going to be as big, but like they're still going to be able to make the crazy bioweapons and the mosquito-sized drone swarm, and so on. And so I think the security component is just actually a pretty large component of the project, in the sense of like, I currently do not see another way where we don't kind of like instantly proliferate this to everybody.
So like right now, yes. How easy would it be for an actor to steal the things that are like not the things that are released about Scarlett Johansson's voice, but the RL things we're talking about, the unhobblings?
All extremely easy, right? DeepMind even like they don't make a claim that it's hard, right? DeepMind put out their like whatever frontier safety something, and they like lay out security levels, and they security level 0 to 4, and 4 is this resistant to state actors, and they say we're at level 0, right? And then just recently there was like an indictment of a guy who just like stole the code, a bunch of like really important AI code, and went to China with it, and all he had to do to steal the code was copy the code and put it into Apple Notes and then export it as PDF, and that got past their monitoring, right? And Google has the best security of any of the AI labs, probably because they have the Google infrastructure. Roughly I would think of this as like, security of a startup, right? And like, what does security of a startup look like, right? It's not that good. It's easy to steal.
Is it just a matter of getting the right pen drive and you plug it into the gigawatt data center next to the Three Gorges Dam and then you're off to the races?
Look, there's a few different things, right? So one threat model is just stealing the weights themselves. And the weights one is sort of particularly insane, right? Because they can just like steal the literal like end product, right? Just like make a replica of the atomic bomb, and then they're just like ready to go. And I think that one just is extremely important around the time we have AGI and superintelligence, right? Because it's China can build a big cluster. By default, we'd have a big lead, right? Because we have the better scientists, but we make the superintelligence, they just steal it, they're off to the races. Weights are a little bit less important right now, because who cares if they steal the GPT-4 weights, right? Like whatever. So we still have to get started on weight security now, because look, if we think AGI by 27, this stuff is going to take a while, and it doesn't, it's not just going to be like, oh, we do some access control. It's going to, if you actually want to be resistant to sort of Chinese espionage, it needs to be much more intense. The thing though that I think people aren't paying enough attention to is the secrets, as you say, and I think this is the compute stuff is sexy. We talk about it, but I think that people underrate the secrets. Because they're, I think they're, the half an order of magnitude a year, just by default, sort of algorithmic progress, that's huge. If we have a few year lead by default, that's 10, 30x, 100x bigger cluster if we protected them. I don't think anyone has really gotten up in front of these people and been like, look, the thing you're building is the most important thing for like the national security of the United States, for like whether, the free world will have another century ahead of it. Like this thing you're doing is really important, like for your country, for democracy. And don't talk about the secrets. And it's not just about, DeepMind or whatever. It's about these really important things.